Hey everyone, it's the Innovators Mindset with Bhavini Bhakta. There we go. Bhavini becoming a new best friend. Okay.
Yeah, so much in common.
I've seen Bhavini's work on Instagram, totally inspired. I reached out to her one day. I said, I'd love to have you on my podcast. And she mentioned she was in Arcadia, California, or Arcadia schools. And I absolutely love that group of people. And then we started talking about the Lakers, because you're a Laker fan. And every time I bring up sports on this podcast, everyone shuts down. So I'm not going to bring it up, but just we connected for the last hour. And I just think you're absolutely awesome. So Bhavini does some really incredible work. I'm very interested in the stuff that she has to share, not only on an educational level, but a personal level today. And you're awesome, just so you know. I just really like you, and I want everyone that's listening to this podcast right now to know how you're awesome. So if you could just tell everyone who you are, what you do today, how you got there, I think it's a really great place to start.
Well, the feeling is mutual, George. I think you're awesome, and I've been a fan since the day
Thanks for
you
that.
came into the keynote in Arcadia when
Sure.
I used to work there. So the feeling is very much
Thank you. I
mutual, and I
appreciate that.
appreciate the work that you do. And I feel very honored to have a little bit of time with you today. So thank you. Yeah, Bhavini Bhakta. I was in education for
Hmm.
20 years. And, I was an elementary school teacher, I was an instructional coach, a high school assistant principal, a middle school principal. And then while I was a middle school principal, I also became a certified life coach. And so now I actually work with school and district leaders, and I help them to prioritize their physical, mental, and emotional health, so that they can be their healthiest and happiest selves, both in their professional life and in their personal life. So I've been doing that for the past year and a half, and I think it's where I've kind of arrived is that we exist in such a time and a culture and a society where we don't really shut off from work.
Right.
Like George, whenever probably when we both started in education, we actually shut off because there was no email, there was no internet, there was internet, but not smartphones. And so when you left, you actually left, and then you returned to work the next day, and you found
Right.
out you just kind of went about the business for the next day. And if anything happened in
Right.
between, you figured it out and you problem solved, right? But now in every industry, and especially in schools, in school districts, we just don't shut off due to accessibility, right? We're all accessible the moment you step off your campus or your district office, and then you're just working because you're
Sure.
accessible, right? And so I think the piece of that, when you go under the health wellness umbrella, is that our nervous systems are constantly stimulated and constantly triggered with different stressors.
I appreciate that you let everyone know the internet was invented. Wow.
I'm dating us. I'm
While we
dating
were
us.
working. So thanks for that. Thanks for letting everyone know how old we are. Yeah, we did have the internet.
No, I self-corrected. I said we did have the internet. We just
No, I
weren't
know.
accessible
We weren't
through
because
smartphones.
to get on the internet was like 30 minutes of getting on that dial-up noise when I started, right? So
AOL, yep, yep. And then you can't get any phone calls at your house because they're
little
using the phone line.
totally AOL, MSN Messenger. Let's go. Like it's kind of can I ask you, is this a Canadian question? Do you know what ICQ is? Do you remember ICQ? Was that like in the US or is that just Canada?
No idea what that is, but
Like
that could just be me, and
no,
other
I
people
so
might
like I've
know.
asked this before. I think in this is like old school right now. In the US, I know this is not what the podcast is about. The US people, Americans used AOL Messenger. Did you use that one?
Yes, we did.
Right. And there was no AOL in Canada, at least not that I knew. And we used a thing called ICQ, and it like go, oh, and I could just hear the little noise when you got a message. And that was like our AOL. Right. So it's
Oh yeah.
just kind of funny to think about that. Yeah.
W- we
And
had our
how
own
accessible
version,
we are.
right?
Right.
It was called
Right.
America Online, so it probably wasn't
Nice.
accessible in Canada, right?
No,
But we did have
no.
the same noise, and I can't exactly pinpoint what our message notification noise was, but we had something very similar.
Right. And it is amazing to kind of think about that. And it is true. I wonder about, and you and I were having this conversation before. You've been focused on this, and I think you've done a pretty good job. Where a lot of people connect with me. They see my education stuff, but then they get an interest because they see all the health stuff that I do. not because I've always been focused on health, but because I was so unfocused on health that I dug myself in such a hole, and then I kind of figured out how to get out of it. And people are like, oh, like I'm kind of in that hole as well. And one of the things that's really helped me is you talked about that accessibility, but I basically I'm on DND on my phone 24/7. I actually do not there is no notifications on my phone. You cannot even call me. It is literally a brick. And the only time I go to my phone, or the only time I go to my phone, is if I choose to go to my phone. My phone never pulls me. And that's one of the strategies I've had. So like when you're working with groups, like how do you kind of help them to deal with that, to, you know, how to deal with that when you are accessible all the time? Because there is a little bit of that's your choice too. We pretend it's not, but it is a little. And maybe that's just my opinion. Because even as a principal, there was times where it's like, this is sacred time for me, and you cannot get a hold of me right now. So like, how do you help groups kind of figure that out? What works best for them?
Well, first of all, kudos to you for being on Do Not Disturb all the time, because
All the
that
time.
is, we can all say we want to do that, but, we have reasons for why we don't. So the
Mm-hmm.
fact that you actually implement it,
Mm-hmm.
that's you regulating your nervous system, you choosing to regulate your nervous system,
Right.
right? Because otherwise you're just being notified, and then you get sucked in, and then you don't even know when you've spent 30 minutes on your phone and you're like, oh, wait, I was doing this other thing.
Yeah.
Right. So,
If you
so
are around me and your notifications go off, I make you turn them off. Like because it gives me such anxiety. Like it really, that, like, talk about regulation. It just works me up when I hear everyone else's phone going off.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the watch, where people are getting their notifications on their watch, and like their text messages and the news and everything. And so
Right.
your wrist is buzzing all day through your day while you're trying to work, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're just completely
Right.
connected all the
Mm-hmm.
time. So I think where I land with most people is these things are going to happen. We have all the technology that's going to disrupt your, just regular functioning. And sometimes it's amazing and it's so helpful, right? The technology, but like we have to figure out how to disconnect, right? And how to regulate our nervous system. So for me, whenever I, talk to different audiences, it's always about having a very, very solid and structured and routined
Yep.
wake up routine and go to sleep routine. So I don't say morning and evening routine because that's so general. It's like, yeah, I wake up and I make my coffee. That's my morning routine. But it's not that. It's really how you go to sleep and how you wake up is where you can control your nervous system. And then you are set up to respond to all those triggers and stressors and notifications and
Right.
things you don't plan for to come your way during the day, because you have really grounded your nervous system in how you fall asleep and how you actually wake up, right? And surprisingly, it's not with your phone.
Right.
The things that I say that are most triggering to people is like, do not charge your phone on your nightstand. That's not where you put it. Charge it, on the dresser, in the bathroom, in another room, downstairs, somewhere else. So when you are telling your body that it's time for rest, you're not on your phone looking at news while you're lying in bed, or on scrolling on social media
Right.
and
Right.
becoming envious, like, oh my god, they're on vacation, that's the seventh vacation they've taken this year, because you're keeping tabs, like, why? Right? Or like, look at how much weight this person lost, oh my god, and I'm the same, what's going on here? So you're just triggering your nervous system even when you go to bed. So
Right.
that's kind of the first thing I say. And people are always like, oh my God, how am I going to wake up? What about my alarm? And like,
Right.
not in the bed. Oh my God, how will I do that? Right. And it is like, once you can do that and not have it on your nightstand, it's not accessible. You won't touch it. And then you are just alone with your thoughts.
Right.
Right. So, I
That's
mean,
a little scary for me.
it is,
It
right?
is. It
It's
is. Yeah.
scary for a lot of people, but it's
Yeah.
like when they say they're scared of that, I say, okay, just don't put it on your nightstand, put it on your dresser. It's like 6 feet away,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you needed to get it, you can get up and go get it. But the objective here is not to stimulate your nervous system before bed and really get it ready for bed, right? And put the phone away, because we know that's stimulating. That is causing your nervous system to just be on
Mm-hmm.
versus regulated and ready for sleep. And similarly, when you wake up, it's not right there. You don't grab
Mm-hmm.
it and open something and see your text messages and see your emails and your work
Right.
and click on a social media app that is so close, like it's right there, it's right next to your email, and you click on it, and now you're back you just woke up from your sleep and now you're
Mhm.
back in that triggering um state, you
Mhm.
know. And so it's like, even when you wake up, it's still on the dresser. And I tell folks, don't even get it. Even when you wake up, do your very, very immediate routine
Right.
before you get that phone. Right. And I always say leave it on D&D when you're sleeping, or
Yeah.
on sleep mode, or whatever it is, right? Because your emergency calls will still come through. But do your immediate routine. Go brush your teeth, go to the restroom, do
Mm.
your thing, drink some water, and then get your phone. Just like let your body wake up, let your system say, okay, I'm awake, I'm brushing, have a happy thought, think about what you're looking forward to in that day. Have, greet your spouse, your child, your pet, whatever, and then get your phone.
Right.
Right. So you're not automatically connecting to a million people through your phone, and you're just kind of regulating your system when you fall asleep
Right.
and when you wake up, because those are unfortunately the only times you're kind of alone with your thoughts by yourself. Even if you have a partner or whoever sleeping in the same bed with you, whatever, you're alone with your thoughts. But
Mhm.
we don't even give ourselves that time. We're connected to the phone in the waking up and the going to sleep. So that's kind of like the premise. There's so
Mhm.
many details and so many nuances to how you go to sleep that can help you go to sleep and actually experience a deep state of
Mhm.
sleep where your nervous system is replenished so you can take on the day again, and how you wake up to set the tone and the mood for the day too without your phone. And this isn't an hour on both ends. It's like a few minutes while you're going to sleep and a few minutes when you wake up, right? And
It's funny because I used to check my phone first thing in the morning, and
yeah,
I would say like, "Hey, I'm gonna
me
check my
too.
phone for like 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna go to the gym." And then so you sometimes I would get sucked into like social media vortex, right? And in 5 minutes
Oh,
would turn to 50, right? And sometimes
vortex is
I'd
the right
check an
word.
email and it'd be some snarky email I'm getting, totally affects my mood. And yeah, I might only be 5 minutes, but then I'm mad at the gym the entire time. It's affecting everything. So I really focused on not checking any social media, not checking my email until I was after till after I was on my workout. And one of the things that really helped me with that was you still get the snarky email. It's just waiting for you, right? If it's gonna be snarky, I
It's
don't need
there
to.
no matter what.
Right, it's gonna be
Yep.
still there. But I just feel like almost like I put on a little bit of armor through that workout, and sweat it out, all that other stuff. And so I felt it was way easier to deal with stuff after I exercised. And I know not everyone can do that routine that I have because I will tell you, as much as you and I connected because I was talking like my focus has been innovation was one of the things that Arcadia was really focused on. One of the things, especially over the last probably 5, 6, 7 years, is how important routine is to innovation. That when you have consistent practices, that's when you can really go and do some incredible things. But if you don't know what you're going to do from day to day, it's really hard to kind of push the boundaries of what's possible in education. So that's something that I really kind of grounded to, and I have the same routine. And maybe I'm weird like this. I don't go Monday to Friday. I wake up at the same time every single day, weekday, weekend, because it does help me significantly. The question, like one of the questions I was thinking about, is that you are, working with groups, connected. That I know you're doing some speaking, doing some keynote work with school districts. If you were to go back to you as a principal, and with all the stuff that because there's kind of like an interesting thing when you walk away from the principalship, you kind of you get to see things from a different perspective because it's really hard to see certain things when you're immersed in it. What advice would you give to yourself that like, hey, maybe don't do this, maybe you should do this? Is there any advice that you would give to yourself when you were a principal that you know better now?
Oh my gosh. Well, first off, to your routine,
Mm-hmm.
that's amazing. The fact that you don't touch your phone until after you work out,
No.
that's the ideal state you kind of want to get to. If everybody can have a movement or workout in the morning, right? And then get to your phone, Totally. You're already in the ideal state, George. You don't need me.
I'm trying.
But secondly, whenever to answer your question, if I could go back, it would be exactly that. I
Mhm.
went to sleep checking my emails for work, so I was really prepared for whatever came in. And there might have been a parent complaint. There might have been a
Right.
I'm anticipating 6 staff absences, and I only feel 3, and we already have to. I have all this information, and I'm absorbing this stress before I go to sleep.
Hmm.
Right. And I'm like, now I'm not even sleeping well because I'm like, how are we who's going to sub for that person? All this stuff is going through my mind because I checked it. And on one hand, I'm happy I checked it. So I'm prepared for the morning. And I think a lot of principals think that way. Right. Secondly, I'll check it in the morning. And I already woke up with like all these problems that I had already thought about but not had a solution yet. And then I wake up, I check it, see if anything else came through, and then I'll go about my day. But the thing that has happened is I was going through my day just to go through my day, right? Like, so just like routinely and mundanely, like, this is what I have to do, checklist, checklist, checklist.
Hmm.
And I was not conscious. I was not present and I was not conscious, right? So then when I'm just constantly thinking about like the problems I have to solve, I wasn't doing anything with super great intention.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And I think when I look back at that part of me, I shifted somewhere in between because I just felt like I was never kind of calm or relaxed.
Right.
I did shift to like moving my phone, and I woke up at 4:30 every morning so I could get a workout in at
Hmm.
5 before I went to work, you know. And as soon as I moved my phone, I thought it was going to be like, I don't know how I was going to do it, but I moved it and I started forgetting it because I started forgetting about my phone.
Hmm.
And I did not anticipate that, right? I'd leave to the gym to my workout. I'm like, oh my God, my phone's on the charger. And it was in the living room. I
Right.
forgot it. But then do I need it? No. My gym was 3 minutes away. I did my workout, no phone. Got the dopamine release,
Right.
got my
Right.
mood set, my body regulated, got home, grabbed my phone. And there was nothing there that I needed to know for the past 45 minutes to an hour that I was spending time on my mind and my body,
Mhm.
right? It was there. Like you said, it's on the phone. It's there. The snarky email was there.
Right. It's
You
still
just
there.
looked
Just
at it
waiting
a
for you.
little later.
Yeah.
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 So we're not going to change any of those things, and we get into this like, why did they email me at this time? They know I'm sleeping, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you don't even need to waste your time on those thoughts. That email's there whether you thought about it or not. But the part you do get to choose is, am I going to go be conscious of my workout and consciously choose me before I deal
Mhm.
with the snarky email, right? So I think it would
It
still be
is.
the same. My advice to that principal self would be like, don't let your phone control you. You control your time on the phone.
It is kind of funny that you mentioned that idea of, because people will say like, don't email me at certain times. I'm like, like I don't know when you're up or doing that. I don't know any of that. Don't check it. Don't
Yeah.
check it.
Yeah.
And my my philosophy on this and is, if it's an emergency, they'll get a hold of me. I know they will.
They'll find
But like
you.
I just don't think they will. I just don't think I need to be looking at this stuff all the time. And I know this, just having a conversation with you. I don't know if it's, chicken or egg here. My physical health and my mental health are directly linked, right? Like when I feel better physically, I
100%.
mentally I feel better physically. And that's something that really connects with me. When you're talking about being a principal, and I wish we could kind of all go back with hindsight. I remember I had to take like a stress leave for, I've talked about it before, probably about 3 weeks of my career. And as an administrator, I gave everything I could to everybody else. And then just basically one day I realized like I got nothing left. Like and nothing left for myself, nothing left for my family, nothing left for my friends. And I think that when you and I were talking about before, you have a really proactive approach. And one of the things you said, and maybe I'm misquoting you here, I don't like when people talk to me about balance, because there's no balance. Like balance is such a subjective thing, and like you're out of balance. Well, your balance and my balance, like we have totally different viewpoints
Totally
of this.
different.
So I talk
Mhm.
about like presence and purpose, right? And I appreciate how much you talked about being present where you are and really what is purposeful work. So how do you really try to take a proactive approach, you know, and not necessarily with the technology stuff, but, you know, just making sure that you have something, because some people are like, oh, that's selfish that you get up so early or you do this, or, you know, you're always like, turn off your phone. What if I'm trying to reach you? I'm like, the thing with me is when I give to myself, I'm way better at giving to others. But when I give everything to others, eventually I got nothing and I can't give to anybody. So how do you kind of work? I know you do a lot of coaching with groups. How do you get people to really be proactive so they don't get in a situation where I was in, where basically you just got to go, like you got to take a break because you just got nothing left because you don't know how to, you know, as you shared before, regulate.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just defined burnout,
Mm-hmm.
George. Like that's
Yeah.
exactly what burnout is. And burnout isn't specific to school and district leaders, it's to everybody who works and
Mm-hmm.
everybody who's accessible outside of work, right? So, and has real life responsibilities outside of work. Right. So that's why you're not present with your family or your friends or your spouse or whatever, because you've crossbreeded both parts of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have nothing left to give, especially with people in education. You're there for others, like, right, we love that. That's why we're there. We're serving. We're in a service industry, right? So we can't say no. Even if I sit there and tell you, like, have some boundaries, say no, we're like, no, but I got to help this person. No, we got to do this, right? So at the end of the day, those things, no matter what it is, you hitting every red light on your way to work and spilling your coffee, and now you need a new pair of pants and you're got to go home, now you're late for the meeting, that stuff's happening whether you anticipated it or keep an extra pair of pants in your car or not, right? That stuff is happening. So all you control, and this is what I tell people, all you control is your response. And your response is so much more heightened and so much more angry and so much more negative when you do not have exactly what you said, those bottom line routines in place,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have your wake up and your go to sleep piece in check, whatever fits your specific life circumstance, of like the 10 things I can
Right.
offer you to do to regulate your nervous system and be more grounded. It's, if you don't have that in place, your response is just going to eat away at your mental, emotional, and physical health all day,
Mm-hmm.
on repeat every single day, right? And then if you have these routines in place, you are grounding your nervous system, right? You are more conscious of how you're going to respond when those things come up, right? You automatically become more conscious, you become more aware, and you are able to say, okay, my coffee spilled. Can't really change that. Oh, well, we're going to clean. You know, your response is just a calmer, not like, oh my gosh, this, of course, this would happen to me on the day I have a presentation. And then you get into this thought cycle of, like, you're just negatively spiraling down, and now you arrive at your work and there's another situation you have to deal with, and you're just already in this negative thought spiral and you're not even ready to handle that situation, right? So it really, the bottom line of bringing yourself to go through your day in an aware, more conscious state, what you just said, presence and purpose, right? So that you're not constantly reacting, you're not just constantly trying to get through your day to get to the end to do it all over again the next day, but that you went through your day because you have these routines in place, at least very specific to how you wake up and how you go to sleep, right? That you are allowing your nervous system to respond to all the stressors and all the triggers from a more grounded place than a reactive, responsive place, right? And it is just like 5 or 6 steps of how you go to sleep and how you wake up, right? Becoming aware of your thoughts.
It is the routine. I'm listening to you and thinking there's times where I've, you know, I'm like, why don't I have extra shirts in my car? I should, because I spill food on them all the time. And there's times where I didn't work out, something went wrong, and I'm like embarrassed about it, and it's just overwhelming me. And then there's times where I worked out in the morning, kept my routine, spilled something on my shirt, have a big stain, and I go, yeah, I guess I'm just gonna have a stain, everybody, and I bring it up and I like make a joke out of it, and it's just like I don't even care because I've owned it, and now you can't make fun of me because I just started with it first. So I think, you know, I was just thinking about that, how I react differently to the exact same thing based on the routine. So I think that's such great advice. All right, so it is the end of 2025, and we only got a couple minutes left, but one piece of advice going in 2026 to kind of, have your best year possible. I don't want to say your best year yet because, things always happen, but set up yourself for success. What's one piece of advice you'd give to people as they're going into a new year?
I mean, this is just so tough because there's so many little pieces
Yep.
that people could implement. But if I would say if you're in this place of you want to prioritize something about yourself first, your physical, mental, or emotional health, if you want to prioritize yourself and that's where you're headed, you must calendar it. That's
Mm,
all I will say. Just calendar whatever you're prioritizing. So if it's what I was saying this whole time with you,
yep.
that I want to have a more conscious wake routine, then you put it on your calendar.
Yep.
Like wake up routine, it is there. I already told you don't have your phone there, but you're looking at your calendar all day, so you know your wake up routine is there. Or if it is just a 3-minute walk
Right.
at work, calendar it. If it is that morning workout, like stick it on your calendar. If it is, taking deep breaths while you drive home, it's on your calendar. We're so stuck
Mhm.
on, not stuck, I wouldn't say stuck. Calendars guide us now, right? Like
Yep.
it's so hard for us to remember anything. So we look at our calendar for everything. So when it's on your calendar, whether you do it or not, it's there and it is your reminder, right? Like I put it on there. That's the first step, right? Like it's on there. Now I'm going to go do it or not. That's going to be a lot of, you need a coach, you need some of your own motivation, but start calendaring it literally on your digital calendar. If you have a physical one, write it down,
I love
because
it.
that forces you to decide what it is you want to do and when you want to do it.
Yeah, and the thing that I always tell people, and I think that's such good advice, is that if you had an appointment with someone else, you would show up on time. But then when you make an appointment with yourself, would you actually not show up on time for yourself? And so when you put it in that calendar, it's like, hey, this is that time. I'm notorious for this. I like book off my time and no one can touch it. Like when that time, that is my sacred time, and that helps me with everything. So I think that's such a great piece of advice. So Bhavini, it has been amazing to get to know you. I hope a lot of people connect with you. So you can find Bhavini's information down in the show notes below. But if anyone wants to look you up right now, where would they find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn with my name, Bhavini Bhakta, or Instagram with exactly my name, Dr. Bhavini Bhakta, and follow me there. You get all the stuff and you have all my contact info there.
I'm so glad we connected today because I just feel like we're going to stay connected after this too. So I know Bhavini does some really amazing work. Make sure you connect with her. Thank you so much for your time, Bhavini. Thank you everyone for watching and listening. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.
Thank you, George. Honored to be here.